In this video and the next one, we'll be looking at live screencasts of how to use Adobe Lightroom. Here we'll be looking at how to manage your workflow in Lightroom to keep your photos organized and to help you make beautiful edits quickly and efficiently. Adobe Lightroom is my preferred method for managing and editing photos. It's kind of like the standard photo managing application for pros and amateurs alike. It's available for the PC and the Mac. It retails for $150, which is somewhat expensive, but for the value you're getting, it's definitely worth the investment if you can make it, and it's certainly cheaper than more expensive applications like Photoshop. You can also download a 30-day free trial at adobe.com/lightroom, and that's what I would recommend. If you don't have it yet, if you're kind of on the fence, download the free trial. It's fully functional. You can use it for 30 days and decide if it's something you'd like to use, because we will be using it over the next few lessons, so it would be great to have the trial so you can follow along. At this point, we're going to switch over to a screencast and quickly look at some of the key features of Lightroom, how it works, what it does for you, and how to manage your workflow to make it as efficient as possible. Alright, what we're looking at here is Adobe Lightroom. This is my photo collection inside of Lightroom. And before we go farther, I want to kind of show you how to navigate around Lightroom and what its purpose is. So Lightroom differs from Photoshop in that Lightroom manages your photos and provides some effects to help improve the quality of your photos. Photoshop is much more in-depth. It's for more graphic design work. You can do more complicated effects. You can add text to your pictures and do more crazy things. Lightroom is built for photographers who want to store their pictures in a neat and organized way and have a very efficient workflow to do the common types of customizations that we've talked about in the previous lessons. So that's why I would recommend using Lightroom. At least download the free trial and give it a shot. So let's take a look for a moment at just the different areas of Lightroom to get comfortable with how it's set up. You'll notice that there are 5 main panels. There's the top panel here, which has the navigation menu. There's the right panel. You can collapse that and expand it. This has more of the editing effects along the right side. The bottom shows us our photos and thumbnails, whichever folder we're in. The left side helps us navigate from different folders, and the center shows us our main workspace with whatever we're doing. In this case, it's just our library. It's showing us a listing of all of our pictures. Along the top, you'll notice 7 tabs. There's Library, Develop, Map, Book, Slideshow, Print, and Web. The good news is we can ignore everything from Mac to Web. So we can ignore Map, Book, Slideshow, Print, and Web. Those don't really do anything for us for our purposes. All we need to worry about are the Library tabs and the Develop tabs. The Library tabs gives us basically a listing of every picture we're looking at in our library, in our photo sets, and we navigate from different photo sets along the left side. So over here you'll see all of our folders and all of our collections. Folders are the actual folders that you have on your computer. They're where the actual pictures are stored in their raw and original formats. The collections are your own collections that you can make. You can add more pictures to these or take them away, and it won't mess with your actual files. So what I do, and the way it's naturally set up, is I'll import all of my photos by date, which we'll talk about in a moment. That way they're all stored on my computer in their own folders. Whereas the collections, I make one of those for every food photo shoot I do, and then I can add or remove photos from that collection at will without messing up where the files are stored on my computer. And that also makes it very easy to look and just see naturally which pictures I want to look at from which photo set. So I may have taken maybe multiple photos of the same photo shoot on different dates, but a collection, I can put both of those dates into one folder if it makes sense for me to group them together if they were from the same photo shoot. Now the right-hand tab is not extremely useful in the library section. It shows us, again, the ISO and the focal length, aperture, and shutter speed of our pictures, along with a histogram, which shows us the different levels of our photos. So you can use it to look at that information if you'd like. There's also really quick editing effects over here, but mostly it's just to give you the metadata and the information about your picture. So you can see which date it was taken on, which type of camera, whether the flash fired. So it'll show you information about your pictures. This is the Library tab. Now, the other tab we use is the Develop tab. In here, The left side is going to look very similar. You're going to have all your collections still visible. You're also going to have all the pictures in whichever folder you're looking at visible along the bottom. But the power here is in the right side. This is where all of our editing effects are. And we'll be talking more about that in the next lesson when we look at adding editing effects to our pictures. So this is a basic overview of what Lightroom is, how it works, and how it's set up. Now let's look at how to import our pictures. So let's say we just took a new photo shoot, we have all the pictures on our card or on our iPhone, and we want to import them into Lightroom. How does that work exactly? Well, from the Library tab, you want to click this Import button along the left side. You click Import, and it's smart enough to know that there's a memory card inserted into the computer and that there's new pictures on this memory card. There might be other pictures on the card, but you see here at the top it says New Photos. So it's not going to import pictures that have already been imported into Lightroom. It knows which ones are new, and you can see the checkboxes next to each one. So if, for example, I didn't want 1 or 2 or 3 of these pictures, I could uncheck them and they would not be imported. But by default, all of the new pictures are checked, and I usually import everything into my computer. And then if I want to delete them, I'll do that later on. But I usually import all of them at first. So along the left side, you can choose where you want to import from. So it naturally chooses our memory card. It's smart enough to know that that's the most likely place we're going to want to import from. But you can also import from other areas of your computer or other areas of the memory card itself. On the right side, there's a few tabs here that I don't really pay much attention to. You can rename the files as you import them, but that's usually unnecessary. The only important part is making sure in this Destination tab that it's going to import them where you want them to be imported. So for me, and the way it has it set up by default, is I have a Pictures folder on my Mac, then inside of that I have a Lightroom folder, and inside of that I have yearly folders. And then inside of that are each of the dates. So it will import automatically on November 20th, 2013. It'll create a new folder for this date when all of these pictures were taken. It'll create that folder, all of the pictures will be stored there for as long as I want them to be stored, and that makes it very easy to find all of my pictures on my computer if I ever need to look at them or update them or move them somewhere else. I know where to find my pictures. I just go to Lightroom, 2013, then I find the date. So all of my pictures are categorized in this way. So once I'm happy with where the pictures are, then I just click the Import button, and you can see on the top information area, it's working. It's going through the progress of importing all these pictures. And now, as it's doing this, I have a new folder for November 20th, 2013. It's slowly importing all 38 of these pictures. And there we go. So all of our pictures have been imported. It automatically ejected our memory card, but it's important to note that it left the pictures on the memory card. It doesn't automatically delete them by default. So the pictures are still on my card, but it's been ejected. I can unplug it now, and all of my pictures are now here in this folder. So that's how you import pictures into Lightroom. So now that all of our pictures have been imported, let's actually take a look at them. This is a real photo shoot I did just this week. It's Thanksgiving time, and this is a delicious sweet and savory cornbread stuffing. So we've got all 38 pictures, which is a little less than I would normally shoot, but whatever. We have 38 pictures, and the next step for me, after my pictures have been imported, is I'll first click on each of them. When you click on it, it opens them in a larger image, so you can see the entire image here, and you see along the bottom, it'll show you the thumbnails of all the other images that are in this folder. So this is how you navigate between images. You can also hit the arrow keys. So first thing I do is I'll just run through by hitting the right arrow key of every picture, take a look. If there's any really terrible ones, I'll straighten them by hitting Apple right bracket, and that straightens them, it rotates them. I'll look at all the pictures, see if there's any really terrible ones. If there are, I just delete them right away. So far these look okay, not the greatest photo shoot ever, but they look decent. Now this one is completely out of focus, so I just hit the backspace button or the delete button on my computer and hit delete from disk. and now the picture's gone. It's been deleted from my computer, it's not taking up space, and I'll never see it again. So the first thing I do, now we've finished running through all 38 of the pictures. We've straightened them and we've deleted any that are really terrible. The next thing I'll do is I'll go back the other way and I'll hit the P button on my keyboard to flag my favorite pictures. If you don't want to hit the P button, you can also hit this little flag. See this in between the main viewer and the navigation on the bottom? That'll put a flag on the picture that says, hey, I really like this picture, let's remember it in the future. I'm going to quickly run through and flag a few of my favorite pictures in this photo set. Alright, so I flagged about 10 out of the 38 that I think have potential. The other ones are okay, but maybe they're too dark or they're not as well composed. So now I have a listing of about my 10 favorite pictures from this photo set, and next we'll create a collection for these favorites. Okay, so we've imported our pictures, we've deleted the bad ones, and we have flagged our favorite ones. Next, let's make a collection and only put our favorites into that collection. So how do we do that? First, if you notice this bar here in the middle, above the navigation and below the actual image, you can click the big grid that'll show you all of the pictures in this folder. And again, this will show you, the center area will show you wherever you are. So along the left side, we could click the entire 2013 folder and see 1,000 pictures. But we're focused in on the pictures taken on November 20th, which are just of this cornbread stuffing. So inside of this one folder, we're going to see these 38 pictures. What we can do is filter them. You'll see above the pictures, there's this library filter option. So we click on filter by attribute, and then flag. So we do the white flag, and it shows us just these 10 or 12 pictures that are our flagged pictures. Next, we'll go down to the collections on the left side and make a new collection. We're going to create a collection, call it cornbread stuffing, and we'll put that inside. I have a larger parent collection of food photographs. That way I can have other collections for other type of pictures. But that doesn't really make a difference. Mostly you just want a collection for cornbread stuffing. So we create that collection, and now you can see it here. So along the left side, they're organized alphabetically. So you highlight all of these by hitting Command A. These are all of our flagged favorites again. Then we just drag them into the cornbread stuffing folder. So now our 13 favorite pictures are right here. The other ones are out of the way, and we have a new collection that has these pictures. We can reorder them, put them in any order we want, maybe put our favorites first and put some of our least favorites towards the end. We can adjust them, and we can also add other pictures to this collection. For example, if I had to do a reshoot today, a few days later, then I could have other pictures in this collection, even though they would be stored on my computer on a different date in their own folder. So collections are not folders on your computer, they're your own personal way of organizing the pictures within Lightroom. So one photo can be in multiple collections or no collections, but if you look at the folders above, you have to have one picture in one folder and it can't really move without messing things up. So collections are your own personal way of organizing things. They give you a lot of flexibility. That's why I create a collection for each of my photo shoots. Now we've already talked about how Lightroom helps you keep track of all your pictures, and that's a huge advantage. It allows you to see all of your pictures in one place and make edits to them, export them, and do everything you need to do as a food photographer right from this one application. The way it keeps everything so organized for you is a huge advantage. We've already talked about how all your pictures are stored by date in a folder on your computer, and you can move between those folders within Lightroom. The only downside is that you can start to accumulate a lot of pictures on your computer. And if you're shooting in RAW format, each one of these cornbread stuffing pictures is 25 megabytes. So if you do the math, this is almost a gigabyte of space just for these 38 pictures. Ultimately, I want to keep my favorites. These flagged pictures, I want to keep them pretty much forever in case I ever need them in the high quality. I can export them at full resolution, I can make updates, and it's a good idea to keep these around. But do I really want those other maybe 25 or whatever it is pictures that I don't necessarily like so much? Not necessarily. I may want to delete them from my computer, get rid of them altogether. They don't clutter up my library, and most importantly, they don't take up space on my computer. So what I can do is I can sort them by non-flagged pictures, and I can delete those. So we already sorted them by flag, and we moved the flag ones into our collection. Well, what we can do is uncheck the flag sort option and check the no flag option. So this is all the pictures that we chose not to flag. Then we can highlight all of them by going up to the Edit menu and hitting Select All or hitting Command A. And then this will select all of the pictures that have not been flagged. We can right-click and hit Delete Photos, and they'll be moved to your trash and deleted. You won't have access to them in Lightroom, and they'll be removed from your computer. I'm actually not going to do this right now because I haven't edited the pictures yet, and I may later come back and decide that I want one of these. But I do this for all of my photo shoots about once a month. I'll go back into Lightroom, I'll delete the ones I don't need, and this helps me save space on my computer and have a more manageable workflow on Lightroom, so I don't have a million photos hanging around that I don't really need. And that was a quick introduction to how to use Lightroom and how to create an efficient workflow in Lightroom. Your homework for this lesson, if you don't have it already, is to download a trial of Adobe Lightroom for the PC or the Mac. It's free, you can use it for 30 days, and it'll really help you develop your editing skills whether or not you decide to buy it. After you've downloaded it, get comfortable with the workflow that we introduced in this lesson. Practice navigating the application, importing your pictures, and creating collections. Once you're comfortable with that, move on to the next lesson where we'll actually introduce those editing effects we talked about in the last lesson and do some live